Hello everybody, and happy Halloween! Ooh. You all know what day it is. It's Halloween, it's the scary day. It's the day you dress up. So I decided to dress up as, what am I, a normal soldier? A normal soldier fighting on the front? Oh no. Turns out I'm actually a criminal soldier. I'm a house intruder. I might intrude and steal your things. And be careful, or I'll pump you full of lead. But just kidding, everybody. It's just me, your old friend, Nicholas White, here to review a scary movie. So, what is the scary movie? It happens to be my favorite horror movie of all time. Exorcist 3. Legion. So, why not Exorcist 1 or Exorcist 2? Why Exorcist 3? Well, you see, Exorcist 3 is the best one. It's better. Exorcist 1 is great. Exorcist 2 is awful. It's in Africa, and there's music. There's this weird music, and there's this big guy wearing cheetah skin, and he screams like a cheetah. No, he wears a locust outfit. That movie's all about locusts. And there's Exorcist 4, which is technically 2 movies, but I don't even want to get into that. Exorcist 3 is the best one. I know a lot of people may know about Exorcist 3 now due to its unfortunate history with a certain Wisconsin serial killer. But I won't name names. He's dead in the earth. So, Exorcist 3. It takes place in the 90s when it was set. It stars George C. Scott, most famously known for playing General Patton in the film Patton. You know, I'm in military garb. I know General Patton. He served in the Second World War. But now he plays Bill Kinderman. Now, Bill Kinderman, he's a police guy. He was in the first Exorcist, but he was played by a different actor. And he's a detective, and these people start showing up, and they're dead, and they all have the signs of the Gemini Killer. The Gemini Killer, he's the big bad villain of this movie. He's a real messed up character. You just want to give him a big punch in the face because he's so evil and so messed up. He's played by Brad Dourif, who's most famously known for playing Chucky in the Chucky movies. You know, the Evil Doll movies, those ones. So, he's also played by Jason... What's his last name? I forget, but I was gonna say Jason Alexander, but that's the guy from Seinfeld. So, he was the main character in the first Exorcist movie, and spoiler alert for the first Exorcist movie, but that movie ends with him jumping out of a window and falling down 30 stairs, and it just keeps on showing him falling down. Well, there's screaming in the background. It was a very good ending for a movie. But he plays this guy. He's this guy, he's in this padded cell. It's in an asylum or a mental hospital of some type. And Bill Kinderman, he's got to figure out all this stuff. Because all these people are dying. But how could that happen? The Gemini Killer is dead, he got caught. And there's some demonic witchery. There's some demonic, messed up stuff in this movie. Because we're not messing with the natural, we're messing with the supernatural. The Gemini Killer works with demons. That's why it's called Exorcist 3, Legion. That's a Bible quote. It's Jesus asked the possessed man, what is their name? The possessed man says, Legion, for we are many. That's what it's supposed to be. What else happened? So, George C. Scott is great as William Kinderman. is one of the most quotable movie characters, in my opinion, ever. He's so good. There's this scene where he's talking to this nurse, and the nurse is like, "It's in the file." And he goes off, he says, "It is not in the file! It is not!" And what else does he say? He also says, he's talking to his friend Father Dyer, who's in the first Exorcist too. He's a priest, and he's in the hospital. And this nurse comes in, she goes, "Is everything alright in here?" or something. And then he goes, "We're fine!" And what else does he say? At the end, in this epic battle between the demon Gemini killer, and him, he does this big speech. He goes, "I believe in hate, and I believe in slime." And then at the end he goes, I believe, you son of a bitch." And then he pulls out his gun and goes, and he saves the soul of Father Karras from the first movie, because that's the big twist of the movie. It was when Father Karras died at the end of Exorcist 1, his body got possessed by the Gemini killer and some other demons, and they've been torturing him for getting rid of Pazuzu from the first movie. You see, the demon's called Pazuzu. That's a little sad fact you should know. And what else happens in this movie? Yes, See, the film is directed by William Peter Blatty, who wrote the Exorcist novel and helped write the Exorcist film with William Friedkin, who most famously known for directing Sorcerer, as another movie I really like. And he directs the movie in a very good way, where it just randomly cuts to scenes. There's like a scene where Bill Kinderman is like, he's saying, Father Dyer's middle name was Kevin. And then it cuts to the Gemini killer and he goes, Kevin. And it just cuts back to the normal scene. It's an awesome type of directing. And then he just cuts to things. He cuts to, like, if they're in a restaurant, he cuts to people eating in the restaurant. And, what else? Let me think. There's also, this is what the film is most infamously known for, is the greatest jump scare in a movie ever. You see, it's this nurse, and she's like in this big long hallway, and the camera is at the end of the hallway, but she's all the way at the end, so you're like squinting looking at her. So she is looking around in the rooms, and then first off she goes into the room and the shot breaks, and it breaks into a room, so you know, oh, something bad's gonna happen. That's when the jump scare is gonna happen. It comes in and there's a fake out jump scare. There's this guy who goes like, "Rah!" or something. He like it's like this normal medical patient, and he screams, and it's like, and that it puts you back a little bit. But then he asks what the nurse's name is, and guess what? The nurse has a K in her name, and as we all know, the Gemini killer only kills people with the letter K in their name. So she's in trouble. Then it goes back to the long shot of her at the end of the hallway, and then suddenly she gets murdered by the Gemini killer, and it's so scary. It's so terrifying. And another thing I like about this movie, I've seen reviews of this movie, and no one has ever talked about this, but I have to talk about this. It is the microphones in this movie. The microphones are... I can't even explain it. The characters, like, scream or do something, and they get, like, distorted by the microphone. It's so wonderful. It makes the film so much better because of that. If they just spoke normally, it wouldn't be as good as a movie, but they do it, and it's great. So you move on to the climax of this movie. So mostly the demon likes to take over the forms of old people with like dementia or something, and that because they're probably like easier to possess because they're not like going on upstairs. So the demon possesses this old woman, and this old woman drives to the house of Kinderman, with a K, Kinderman, K. And then Kinderman comes in, and then he sees there's these bone shears. They cut off bones, and they were introduced early in the movie. And the old woman brings out the bone shears, and he's about to cut the head off of Bill Kinderman's daughter, Julie, or Judy, or whatever her name is. And he goes, Judy! And then they pull her hair back, and she goes like... But she lives, and then they fight off the old grandma, and then they go into the room with a priest. There's this priest, his name's like Father Morning or something, and he's only introduced to, I don't know, he's just introduced to do the exorcism, and he does it, and things go crazy. There's like snakes coming out of the floor, there's like crucified people rising up from the dead. It's a crazy scene. And then the movie ends. I suppose it is a bit of a happy ending. And it is the best horror movie of all time. Nothing comes close to it, maybe Billy the Kid Meets Dracula. I think that one's pretty good. Maybe, what other horror movies? I don't know. Nothing comes close to it. It's the best movie of all time. Check it out. I give it 10 out of 10. Have a happy Halloween, everybody. And if you don't,